Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm going to do a video on B12 and how lack of it can make your brain shrink. So, we all know how important B12 is in the carnivore community, and it's a major argument point for why the vegan diet is just shouldn't even be a thing, because it's lacking an essential vitamin that you can't get from plants. And they have no real response to this argument other than they take synthetic supplements to make up for it. And that's not the point of a diet. You shouldn't have to take supplements. So that's just a major hole in the vegan diet right there. And the reason that it's essential is because it's so important for your brain to operate. Personally, I think having a sharp brain is probably one of the most important things in life, because a sharp brain is an indicator of just overall physical health, because your brain is a physical object. It's an organ. It's a physical organ. So if it's not working properly, then you are physically out of shape. So whenever my brain is working properly, I know that my body's working properly, and vice versa. So I got a couple articles, and I brought up a couple studies real quick, and then I have a little video at the end. So a lack of vitamin B12 may lead to cognitive problems and brain shrinkage. I'm sure there's no shortage of people with cognitive problems and brain shrinkage in the world, and we've all encountered them, and we all know the symptoms. Cognitive problems typically manifest as poor thinking, slowed thinking, slowed speech, inability to communicate properly, anxiety, depression, mania, all that stuff, even into the serious mental problems. Those are all cognitive issues. I've seen a lot of issues like this with vegans on YouTube channels, and I just can't help but think B12 has something to do with it. B12 deficiency is widespread. And B12 is found in animal protein only. And that's why vegetarians and vegans are at high risk for developing deficiency. So this is an important vitamin, and essential to the brain. Here's a study that I ended up tracking down from the Neurology journal, 2011 in September. This is the PubMed. Looks like possibly like a reprint of the journal, or they're just posting. I'm not sure how this works. I'm not sure if PubMed did the study and the journal published it or whatever, but I got the study here, and I got the same exact study here in the journal. We'll just take it out of the journal. So this is from September 27th, 2011. I'm sure this is found somewhere in YouTube and has been looked at before, but never hurts to go over this because it's so important. So the objective of this study was to investigate the interrelations of serum vitamin B12 markers with brain volumes, cerebral infarcts, and performance in different cognitive domains in a biracial population sample cross-sectionally. In 121 community-dwelling participants of the Chicago Health and Aging Project, serum markers of vitamin B12 status were related to summary measures of neuropsychological tests of 5 cognitive domains and brain MRI measures obtained on average 4.6 years later among 121 older adults. So the results of the B12 study. Concentrations of all vitamin B12 related markers, but not serum vitamin B12 itself, were associated with global cognitive function with total brain volume. That means the way the brain works, and also the size of your brain. Methylmalonate levels were associated with poor episodic memory and perceptual speed, and cystathionine and 2-methyl citrate with poor episodic and semantic memory. Homocysteine concentrations were associated with decreased total brain volume. The homocysteine global cognition effect was modified and no longer statistically significant with adjustment for white matter volume or cerebral infarcts. The methylmalonate global cognition effect was modified and no longer significant for adjustment with total brain volume. I'm sure you guys didn't understand half of that, neither did I. Let's just go to the conclusion. Methylmalonate, a specific marker of B12 deficiency, may affect cognition by reducing the total brain volume, whereas the effect of homocysteine, non-specific to vitamin B12 deficiency, on cognitive performance may be mediated through increased white matter, hyperintensity, and cerebral infarcts. So essentially, this is the point. Vitamin B12 status may affect the brain through multiple mechanisms. Man, so it looks like vitamin B12 is involved in a lot of different processes in the body, and to avoid that in your diet is just devastating to your brain.
They ate. At the end of the study, their brains were tested again, and so were their blood, and significant levels of brain shrinkage were seen. Those eating a meat-free diet were 6 times more likely to suffer brain shrinkage, and vegans, who don't of course eat anything from animals, had the most shrinkage, which was more than 5% over the 5 years. So think about it. If you can lose 5% of your brain in 5 years, if you were a vegan for 20 years, how much would you lose? I had thought about this, and I had a look at the sizes of the brains and the various people at the beginning of the trial. And I found that the smallest brain in somebody eating a normal diet was actually bigger than the biggest brain of a vegan.